Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. For the last several years, I have been telling the stories of Les Filles du Roi and Les Filles Mariées. That's the king's daughters and the marriageable girls. Trying to get to know these ladies a little bit better and getting to know the impact they had on Quebec, New France, and ultimately on North America. It's been a wonderful journey thus far. We're on episode 274. There are over 700 of them. We've got a ways to go. Thanks for staying with me, those of you who have been with me since day one. And let me show you ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know: subscribe, like, and notify. The next are ways to help the channel grow. We have Ko-fi and Patreon, which are external platforms where you can donate. And also on my website, we have a PayPal button where you can also donate. And don't forget that Christmas orders I am taking Christmas orders now. So if you do have an interest in that, please email me at lisa@haverootswilltravel, and we'll see, what we can do. So with that being said, let us get started and get to know our Filles du Roi of this episode. And now we come to episode 274, Jeanne Tellier. She comes to us from a viewer request. I did not have her in my files, so it was a pleasure to get to know Jeanne a little bit better, although challenging, and I'll show you why. So Jeanne was born, we believe, about 1631. We believe it's France. We do not know her parents, and we don't know the location in France. So let's see what else we can find out. So Jeanne, this is the part of the story that we begin to have some information. We know that she arrived on La Nouvelle-France on July 31st, 1670. We have no other information about her. The groom that she selected and who selected her, his name was Maître Gerbert de La Fontaine, and he was born in 1627 in a location called Nantes, and that is in the Pays de la Loire region and in the Loire-Atlantique département. His parents were Jean Gerbert and Perrine Pelly. It is the sixth largest city in France, with about 320,000 in the city proper and with a metropolitan area of about 1 million. It has existed since at least the 8th century BC, and it became part of the Roman Empire until the Bretons captured it in 851. Nantes became the residence of the Dukes of Brittany, elevating its stature. It was during the 14th century when Anne of Brittany married Charles VIII in 1491 that Brittany and France were joined in 1521 by Francis I. The famous Edict of Nantes was originally signed here in 1598 and legalized Protestantism. A more challenging part of its history was its involvement in the African slave trade. Ships would go to West Africa to buy slaves. Slaves were then sold in the French West Indies, where they would return to Nantes with sugar and other goods from the region. The total number of slaves would number 450,000 between 1707 to 1793. So that's kind of a wow moment when I realized that. And you can see on the left how old, on the left you'll see like a fortification, a fort, and obviously the church that would have been built at that time obviously has been remodeled many, many times. So this gives you an idea of it's definitely a big deal to be from Nantes, and the history that he wouldn't have been part of, because obviously he would have left that area. But it's important I always like to draw upon history and really kind of tell the tale of the location of where somebody in our story was from. So this doesn't happen a lot. He was a widower with 6 children. We have actually seen Maître before in our profile in Les Filles Mariées, Elisabeth Tellier. I have posted the link in the notes in case you want to refer back, but she had passed away, and now he was a widower with 6 children. So what to do? Find a wife. Not have any marriage record. We do have a copy of the contract, which I was able to find. I put the links on it. They were apparently married on January 26, 1671, but apparently it could not be recorded until October of that year. It appears that no one could cross the river to get the contract recorded, but it would take 10 months to make it quote unquote official. By then, Jeanne was 4 months pregnant with their first child. So Maitrin and his family were already established on the island of Orleans. And here she comes, Jeanne, to be the stepmother. I mean, it's amazing to me that she took this on. So kudos to her. So let's talk a little bit about Ile d'Orléans. It is located in the St. Lawrence River, about 3 miles east of downtown Quebec City. The island was one of the very first parts of the province to be colonized by the French, and a large percentage of French Canadians can trace their ancestry to the early residents of this island. Now, it's important to note all of the different sections, Saint-Pierre, Saint-Famille, Saint-François, Saint-Jean, Saint-Laurent, Saint-Pétronille, because these, if you know in what sector or township or little town that your family was on the island, that will help you out even more. And as I stated many times since I went there last summer in 2023, just an amazing, amazing place, totally stirred my soul. I want to go back and explore it even more. Even though it's a tiny little place, there's so much to see. So imagine that she's 39 years old and she has 2 children, Marie and Jeanne. So Marie would actually marry Jean Frémont and would have 1 child who would leave descendants. Jeanne would marry Jean Le Houx and would have 8 children, 4 of whom would make it to adulthood. In the 1681 census, we have Maitrin and Jeanne, both 55. They're the children, Jacques, Elisabeth, Marie, and Jeanne. 1 gun, 5 bêtes à cornes, so that's 5 goats or bulls, and 20 arpents à valeur, which, as you know, is about 17 acres of land. Maitrin would pass away in 1687 at about the age of 60. She and Maitrin would have been married 16 years at that time. He is buried, of course, on the island. Jeanne herself would pass away in 1705 at the age of 75 years of age. She was a tremendous woman who carried on alone, presumably helping to raise not only Maitrin's children, but her own 2 as well. By 1729, she would only have 11 descendants, but obviously her line has continued because a viewer requested her. So her line lives on. And I think it's remarkable that, so much is said about how many children you have or this or that, but the fact that she came at 39 years of age, had 2 children, and helped raise his children, I think speaks of her strength and her willingness to serve. So for that, we are very grateful. So if you want to find out more information on Maître Gerbert de La Fontaine, he is featured in the 24th volume of our French Canadian Ancestors. Please go to our French Canadian Ancestors Facebook group. It's a tremendous group, and they have copies of these books and these profiles for you to have a look at. If you can get your hands on the book itself, more power to you. They're very, very hard to come by. And now the lasting tribute. Now, when I first looked at this, obviously his first wife, Elisabeth Tellier, Isabelle, is listed. But then I said, well, there must be another book. And sure enough, I found another book where it does actually list his last wife, which was Jeanne Tellier. So I think that is a nice touch as well. Because it's not, like I said, sometimes history is written by those whose names we do not know. And Jeanne Le Tellier, or Tellier, is one of those names that we need to acknowledge. And so ends episode 274. I love telling this story. First of all, she's an older lady, older, 39, but we can all relate. And she comes to New France. She takes on the 6 children of Maitrin and produces 2 more at 39. I just can't imagine it. Goes on to truly be a pioneer and a helpmate to him and raise his children after he passes. And um, very long life. I just love a woman of substance because that's who she really was, a woman of substance. Those of you who can have Jeanne Tellier as your great grandmother truly have a wonderful, wonderful treasure. Please let me know in the comments below if this is your great grandmother. I'd also like to say thank you to my patrons, supporters, and subscribers. All of you, really helped me do this day in and day out over the years. As I recording this, it's almost been 3 years that I started this particular series. So thank you so very, very much for staying the course. So with that being said, I will see you on episode 275 of Les Filles du Roi. Until then, au revoir.